The next speaker, Han Nguyen. Ms. Nguyen will be followed by Dr. Kevin Booth.
Good morning, Mayor, good afternoon, Mayor Turner, and good afternoon, all the council members. My name is Han Nguyen, and I'm with the employees of City of Houston, but I'm operating now. So I'm here today not for about the employment or any issues about City of Houston, but I'm here. I would like to bring to your attention about the awareness of unreasonable compensations of $150,000 funds from the Greater Houston Community Foundation granted to the Vietnamese community of Houston and the vicinity. So after the Harvey hurricane incident, the Vietnamese elected group in Vietnamese community in Houston and vicinity received more than $1.6 million of donation from the Vietnamese, all over donations, and including the $150,000 that I mentioned earlier. So it has been 2 years since the Harvey hurricane took place. More than $1.6 million funds from donations and grants are still covered up. The Vietnamese community do not know how, I'm talking the people in the Vietnamese community, we do not know what fund was managed and distributed to the Harvey victims. So numbers of Vietnamese people have raised their voices to ask for disclosing the details of the financial statements, expenses, and the distributions of more than $1.6 million to the Harvey victims. However, the elected group of Vietnamese in Houston and vicinity still refused to disclose the information. Recently, we found out that with the grant of $150,000 from the Greater Houston Community Fund, they distributed to 12 elderly people, only 12 elderly people, and one Vietnamese temple located in Romford, Texas. So, and then that means they distribute the $130,000, they have $20,000 left. They still keep remaining their banking reserve. So, it's interesting. We find out that 2 out of 12 elderly people who receive $10,000 each, 2 of them are the insiders and the staff member of that elected community. So based on the information shown in the Greater Houston Community Fund websites, that $150,000 the Greater Houston Community Fund has granted to the Vietnamese community in Houston and vicinity for financial assistance and home repair.
Your time has expired.
Let me make sure that I understand. From the local relief fund, the Greater Houston Community Foundation gave $150,000 to the Vietnamese community of Houston.
The Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity. That means including Cypress, including Sugar Land, including Fort Bend, and Richmond.
Right, because relief fund was Houston and Harris County.
That's true.
Okay, so we gave the money to the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity, and you're questioning what they did with the money.
They already did, but that's what I have a few questions here for you, Mayor. Then my first question is, when was that funds granted, and what is the requirements of compliance for that $150,000? Because they received $150,000, they distributed to only 12 elderly. Right.
The money was given to the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity, which is a nonprofit,
Right.
to assist with the Harvey team. And so we'll have to look to see what the organization did with it. And certainly the Greater Houston Community Foundation can assist in that regard. But the money was given to that nonprofit to use to assist Harvey victims.
Right, but do you have any requirements for compliance to that money?
No, it wasn't a city or Harris County. We didn't distribute the money. The money was collected by the
I understand.
And the Greater Houston Community Foundation then gave the money, distributed money to various nonprofits.
Right.
One of those nonprofits was the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity.
Right.
They were the ones who were responsible for distributing the money to the Harvey victims.
Right.
Right.
And this morning, they just, the trustee of this elected group, they was on a radio station, 900 AM radio station. They make an announcement publicly to the Vietnamese community. They said that they sent a list, that means a list of these 12 elderly people in Houston and one temple in Romulus, Texas, to City Houston, and City Houston approved before they distributed. So that's why I would like to confirm with you, is that true or that's a false information?
That is not true.
Thank you, Mayor.
That is not true.
Thank you, Mayor.
The money came from the Greater Houston Community Foundation and distributed dollars to a number of nonprofits.
I understand.
Okay? The Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity was one of the many nonprofits that had the responsibility of giving the money, distributing the money to those Harvey individuals who were impacted by the storm. Okay? They had the direct responsibility. It wasn't the city of Houston. It wasn't Harris County. It was this nonprofit, the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity.
Dear Mayor, I have a question. As I look at the websites of the Greater Houston Community Foundation, on the website they said that they granted to the Vietnamese community $150,000 for financial assistance and or home repair for 400 individuals or household. That is the information posted publicly. But within the community, they use that $150,000 just distributed to 12 elderly people in City Houston and plus one temple outside of City Houston. So that's why we would like to find out the compliance. What is the requirement, so they make sure that they comply with the requirement. I know that this fund is, this foundation is combined between City Houston and Harris County. But since, I start with you first and see, you can direct us or advise us where we can get the information.
So, number one, we need to look to the Vietnamese community of Houston to see that organization. And we can certainly ask the Greater Houston Community Foundation to also look and see what they have done.
Right.
Direct responsibility falls with the Vietnamese community of Houston and vicinity, that particular organization.
We did ask them, but they refused to disclose those information.
They should disclose. They should disclose.
That's what I believe, but they keep doing that. That's why I'm here as mayor.
Right, yeah, but now they should disclose.
So that's why
Second one,
I'm sorry.
motion to extend. Church member. Sorry.
I'm sorry. That's why I'm here. I would like to ask you, Mayor, and council members here, can help us to initiate the investigation because we powerless. We cannot do anything. I keep asking for disclosing the information, but they refuse to disclose.
They should disclose, and we can ask the Greater Houston Community Foundation to also to assist you all in that regard. Okay, hold on one second, Councilman Sparta.
Mayor, I just have a question. Did the Greater Houston Community Foundation collect funds on behalf of the city of Houston
And Harris County.
and Harris County? So we are the entity that they collected on behalf of? Or did they collect as a separate charity, independent of any municipality, just as a charity?
That is correct. They are a nonprofit themselves.
I'll get the book right here.
Yeah.
But my question is, did they collect on our behalf at our direction and with some kind of authority? You signed some kind of document on behalf of the city. They're totally independent on this action as a volunteer-based,
Yes.
do the right thing.
They collect not only for us, but for a number of
But again, they didn't do it at our direction. They're independent of us.
There was a separate board of people representing the city and people representing the county.
So we are engaged in it. So it would be appropriate for us to ask them to disclose that information, because if you're saying publicly on their website that they distributed it to 400,
On our website, it said that for 400 household, individuals or households.
so the Great Eastern Community Foundation believes that they distributed to
That's what they
400
put on our
households.
website.
They went on Vietnamese radio saying they've distributed it to 12, and they're using the city as their cover to accept on behalf of 12 people.
That's why I indicated that.
If this is what you're
That's
saying.
why I
Yes.
indicated that the Greater Houston Community Foundation can assist them.
Yeah, and so, but that's, you definitely need to go, I would start at the Greater Houston Community Foundation, because again, I think we should be able to have influence in,
I'm sure that they will be more than happy to assist them.
I'm sure too, they're a very credible organization.
So the city of Houston can provide us the office or
Yes, the Greater Houston, Ron, if you will assist them in giving them the contact information for the Greater Houston Community Foundation. Okay? So the Greater Houston Community Foundation should be in position to help to assist you in getting information from the Vietnamese community.
May I follow up there?
Sure.
Would someone in your office be able to also ask on our behalf that they're understanding that they distributed to 400 or 12? And that would be the question I would have. Did they distribute the money to 400 or 12?
And that would be the function of the Greater Houston Community Foundation. The Greater Houston Community Foundation.
I know, but for us as a council body, since we have representatives on that sub-board that's talking the money.
Right. And I would ask the Greater Houston Community Foundation to obtain that information. Councilman Knox.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to, I'm a little confused also. So we have persons after Harvey that wanted to contribute to the city, and we didn't have a mechanism for that. And there was also people who wanted to give money to the county who also didn't have a mechanism for that. So we came together, and this new organization, the GHCF, the Greater Houston County Foundation or whatever, they were formed then to collect this money and hold it for Harvey relief. And then they made a determination on the board to distribute the money to a number of nonprofits in the area. Am I right so far?
It was in, the Greater Houston Community Foundation has been around for quite some time. It's not a new organization.
Not a new organization, but that's its purpose, is to, okay. So now each one of these nonprofits who receive money from the Greater Houston Community Foundation have their own criteria about how they release the money that they're being given. And so the Greater Houston Community Foundation really doesn't have any role in establishing what they use it for. Is that correct?
Although there was a criteria set up by, you had like 5 members from the county, chosen by the county, by 5 members chosen by them. Okay? They kind of set the criteria.
So we're going to give you this money if you promise to deal with
That is
Harvey relief victims.
That is correct.
Okay. So is there any oversight on the part of the Greater Houston Community Foundation for these multiple nonprofits that they gave money to?
I would say to some degree, and that's why they've got their website up as well.
And so what we're suggesting for this young lady here is that we're going to ask them to exercise that oversight
That is
and
correct.
check into what happened to the money to this particular
That
nonprofit.
is correct.
I think that's what you're after.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Councilman.
But make sure that you give them money, give the information on the website and all contact information of the Greater Houston Community Foundation. 1 second, hold on. Councilman Kalash.
2 weeks after Hurricane Harvey, I had learned that there was going to be this distribution of funds that came to the city and the county to the Greater Houston Community Foundation. I went to the Greater Houston Community Foundation, and I believe they were on the 6th floor on Woodway. And they met with me, the president, the vice president, and the chief financial officer. And they told me they were going to have to raise $1.3 million to give this money away. Now, you can imagine how that upset me, because I've already been out to homes throughout the community and apartments. And I realized that people needed diapers, they needed food, they needed clothing, they needed rent payments, they needed phones, they needed a lot of things. I mean, the place was, that's why we call it a disaster. They assured me that they were going to give out the first tranche of money pretty quickly. I think the first tranche of money was given out in December. Harvey occurred, as you understand, the end of August, early September. Motion to extend.
Motion to extend. Any objection, there is no motion granted.
My concern was, from the get-go, was who's getting the money. 9.5 months later, all the money had been distributed. I dare say that to me, that was really late. Upon further investigation, I found out there was 113 nonprofits who received the money. So I got the list of them with their phone numbers and emails address, and I took the first 23 and gave my staff the other numbers to call. Of the first 23, only 4 ever answered me. So I was very disturbed. I was very upset. And I said that in open council here of how upset I was about that. Here it is almost 2 years later, you're coming to talk about it. But it's very disappointing during a hurricane and a trouble that we delay. That's one of the things I can't stand about government is delay. But nonetheless, I got a call from Commissioner Cagle, and he told me that the Ike money from Hurricane Ike had finally been distributed by the Houston Galveston Area Council, and it had been many years later. My mom and dad are already dead. So these kind of things really concern me. I don't think you're going to ever find out anything from the nonprofits. I don't think that they are subject to any open records request. I don't believe you're going to find it out unless they just want to tell you. But, you know, if we have another storm, another tragedy, we got to do better. And because people needed help immediately, and I wanted to cut $125,000, $1,000 checks and start giving them out. Well, people say, well, there's greedy people out there. Yes, there are. But where there's needy people, there you're going to find greedy people. Some of the biggest thefts in American history occurred during the savings and loans debacle, and I don't think anybody ever got arrested. Well, maybe they did. But nonetheless, you know, it's disturbing to me to see it. And we've got to do better. We have to help people at a time of tragedy. Thank you for the correction.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem, go on.
Thank you. I understand exactly what my colleagues are saying, but I personally know the Greater Houston Community Foundation. I know the people that have been involved. I know people on their board. I know people that have worked there. I have the greatest respect for them. You can't just take in money and capriciously throw it out there without having regulations in place. Otherwise, everybody's out there. You have to be able to know where the money's going, and then you have to be able to have an opportunity to follow the money to make sure that they're doing what they say they're going to do. I've urged you to get in touch with the foundation, but I also support them tremendously, and I think they've done wonderful things for the city of Houston.
And I know they work with you to make sure that the Vietnamese community of Houston and the city organization accounts for the dollars that they receive.